Hi, welcome to our channel. My name is Usman. Today we're going to be looking at the brand new lens announced from Hasselblad, the 45mm f4 pancake or P lens. Now this is supposedly the smallest, most lightweight lens for medium format cameras, although I'm not 100% certain because Pentax does have a 75mm f2.8 which is okay, but that is quite a small light lens, so that could be lighter than this one, but Hasselblad are claiming this to be one of the lightest and one of the smallest lenses ever made for medium format. So today we're in Leeds City Centre. We're going to be walking around and doing some street photography with this lens. I suck at street photography, but luckily Anet's going to be taking a few pictures as well, and hopefully we can produce something useful or meaningful with this lens. So yeah, let's crack on. Okay, so first impressions on this camera, and I have to say it's a little bit of a mixed bag. So first thing is the f4 aperture. Now because of the f4 aperture, it's not really that wide, so even in these kind of conditions, we're having to bump up the ISO to about ISO 400 just to be able to shoot properly. And the second thing is autofocus. Autofocus on this lens isn't that great, and it's a little bit slow. Like, I'm missing shots because of the autofocus not being that fast, but then it is medium format, so there is that to consider as well. And finally, the motors in the autofocus, they're really loud, like distractingly loud. So that's something that I'm not particularly keen on. However, I'm still really enjoying shooting with this lens. Okay, so as I'm walking through Leeds City Centre trying to do some street photography, because honestly I suck at this and I don't know why I thought this was going to be a good idea, but one of the things that's really coming in the way is the autofocus. The autofocus in this camera or this lens, I don't know if it's, a combination of the two, but it's not that great. Now this is a pre-production model, so hopefully this is not the actual end performance, but I've been told that this is as close to the performance as it's going to get. So autofocus, not that great. I've been missing a bunch of shots. It doesn't find the subject, and although it's not that bright, it's not that dark. So this might be a bit of a problem for some of you out there who are going to be looking to do street photography. The form factor is perfect. It's just the autofocus which is a bit of a downer. And what I've ended up doing is I've just switched this to manual focus, and with focus peaking, so much easier. I've been able to get a lot more shots in, and it's just more comfortable. I'm not concerned about missing the shot because manual focus, a lot easier. So yeah, that's one of the issues that I'm finding with this lens so far. Now, early on in this video, I talked about the Pentax 75mm f2.8 and how that might be smaller and lighter, and having looked things up, that's definitely true. The Hasselblad is not the smallest and lightest medium format lens ever made. Now, with the 45P, Hasselblad are making the distinction by calling theirs a digital lens. However, that's really grasping at straws because both the 75 and the 45 are current medium format lenses, and they both operate on digital cameras. Having said that, this is such a minor issue that I don't think anyone should be concerned about these pointless definitions, because the 45P is an incredible performer. Wide open, it's able to produce ridiculous amounts of detail. I mean, it's a very, very sharp lens. Now, looking at an image that was shot in a more controlled environment, we can start to see the kind of detail this lens is able to produce. Zooming in 1:1, you can see this lens is incredibly sharp. I mean, it picks up a great deal of detail and the clarity is just wonderful. Moving towards the edges, the lens does lose a little bit of detail, but it's not significant, and even on the edges, it is a very sharp lens. I can't see any chromatic aberrations coming in at all, so on that basis, this lens is fantastic. If we put the 45 against quite a sharp but inexpensive and small prime lens on the Sony system, we'll see just how good the 45 is. I mean, the 28 is rated as a very sharp lens, but the 45 is noticeably better in terms of detail in the center, and if we start moving to the edges, again, The 28 loses a lot more detail and it has a lot more chromatic aberrations going on as well. So the 45 is just a brilliant lens that Hasselblad have made. I know that this isn't a fair comparison by any means, but they both sit in a similar place within their respective systems, and also in terms of like angle of view and aperture, they're close enough. Looking at an image of this building, we can start to see how that translates into real world environments, and when I zoom in 1:1, you can see just how much detail this lens picks up. And I mean, it's rendered this building incredibly well. The clarity is just exceptional. So this lens is a fantastic performer. I have to say it's very impressive, and this is again wide open. This is not stopped down by any means. I am seeing a lot of moire, but that's not really the lens's fault, unless someone wants to correct me in the comments. But yeah, this lens, fantastic in terms of performance. The optical quality is just incredible. So, conclusions. Well, I have to say I'm very impressed with the 45P from Hasselblad for a couple of reasons. First thing is the size, the weight, and the overall form factor. I know I talked about how this is not the smallest medium format lens on the market, but in a way it is, because this is the only autofocus medium format lens with a leaf shutter. So on that basis, it is the smallest on the market. And you have to consider the fact that the 645Z is a significantly larger, heavier camera compared to the X1D. So in overall form factor, yeah, this is the smallest package you can currently get for a medium format system. And honestly, I love that about this lens and the X1D Mark II, because whilst I was shooting in leads, it just never got in the way, and I just got on with shooting it. It was just such an enjoyable experience. The second reason is the sharpness. I mean, the detail, the clarity. This lens picks up so much detail. Wide open is incredibly sharp. I never felt the need to stop down the lens to get a sharper result. I mean, admittedly, when you do stop the lens down, the corners do sharpen up, but that never came up as an issue. So yeah, this lens is definitely one that I recommend. I mean, a lot of people use the X1D for, you know, travel and shooting. I mean, it's not a camera that people use, as far as I'm aware, it's not a camera that people use for high-end professional use. This is a camera that people use to enjoy, and, you know, it's one of those cameras that you go out and shoot because you enjoy photography. And, you know, the 45P, definitely one I recommend. The major downside with this lens is the autofocus. I really did not enjoy the autofocus at all. It really got in the way whilst we were shooting in leads, and I did have to switch it off to go into manual focus. And manual focus, I have to say, is very good on this lens, because I get the feeling, and I could be wrong, but I'm assuming that this is not a focus by wire lens, because whilst I was moving the focus ring around when it wasn't connected to the camera, the elements were still moving. So I think this is a proper manual focus ring, and for that reason, it was just so good. I was able to find the subject far more effectively. The autofocus was just slow, and, you know, I know that Hasselblad and a lot of companies keep talking about contrast detect being brilliant for its accuracy, but accuracy doesn't mean anything if you can't find the subject, and that's the problem with contrast detect. It might be accurate once it eventually gets focused, but getting focus or getting to that point where it finds a subject is a very difficult task. And for that reason, I think that, or I hope, Hasselblad will move on to phase detect, because it's just a much better system overall. In any case, I mean, overall, definitely one I recommend. A few issues with the lens, and other than that, yeah, I mean, if you're looking for something tiny and something that you can enjoy shooting with, this is definitely the one. Anyway, just want to say thank you so much for watching our video. Hit the like button, please subscribe, share this video, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Thank you.